For this video, we're going to continue looking at polynomial operations, but we're going to look at dividing polynomials. So there's two ways that we divide polynomials. One is using long division, which we're going to look at in this video, and another is what we call synthetic division, which we'll look at in another video another night. So sometimes you don't have to use either because it's a polynomial divided by a monomial, which is only one term, and if that's the case, then we can just divide that term into all of our terms that are on the numerator. So for example, 10 divided by 5 is going to be 2. Negative 20 divided by 5 is going to be negative 4. And then 5 divided by 5 is going to be 1. So we're going to have plus whatever variables. Then to divide variables, we subtract exponents. So x cubed divided by x squared, 3 minus 2 is just 1. And then y cubed divided by y, 3 minus 1 is 2, so y squared. 4 minus 2 is 2. And 2 minus 1 is 1, and then 2 minus 2 is 0, so these cancel, the y's cancel, so I'm just left with that 1. All right, I started with 3 terms on top, so I've got to end with 3 terms in my answer. So anytime you're dividing by a monomial, so just one term, you just divide like normal, and you divide all of your terms. However many you start with is how many you should end with. Okay, long division. Real quick, if we take a second to think about what long division is. So if I want to know, we'll say 412 divided by 3. All right, so to do it by long division, I would take 3 and see how many times it goes into the first number. So 3 goes into 4 one time. I put a 1 on top. Well, 1 times 3 is 3. I subtract, so 4 minus 3 is 1. Bring down the next number. 3 goes into 11 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. I subtract, bring down another. 3 goes into 22 7 times, which is 21. And I subtract. Now I have no other numbers to bring down, so I could keep going with decimals, or I could say that it's 137 with a remainder of 1. Okay? So 137 with a remainder of 1. Another way of saying it is that it's 137 with 1/3 left over. Alright, so keep that in mind, and we're going to apply those same practices, but instead of dividing numbers, we're going to be dividing polynomials. So for this example, I've got 2x cubed plus 4x squared minus x plus 1 divided by x plus 3. So I'm going to set it up the same way. On the outside, I've got x plus 3, and then under my division bar, I have 2x cubed plus 4x squared minus x plus 1. Now it's very important that you don't skip any exponents under your division bar. So for example here, I've got x cubed, x squared, x to the first, and then no x. So I didn't skip anything, so we're good. Always keep that in mind, you can't skip. And I'm just going to start with the x. Alright, so I'm going to see how many times x goes into 2x cubed, or in other words, what I have to multiply x by to get 2x cubed. So to go from x to 2x cubed, I need to multiply by 2x squared. X times 2x squared gives me that 2x cubed. These should always be the same. That's our goal, is to make x become 2x cubed. Right? Then I need to do 3 times 2x squared, because that's what I multiplied by, and that's going to give me 6x squared. Alright? I'm going to subtract. So 2x cubed minus 2x cubed, they cancel. 4x squared minus 6x squared is going to give me a negative 2x squared. And then I bring down my next term. So x times, I have to multiply by a negative 2x to get it to become negative 2x squared. And then x times negative 2x gives me negative 2x squared. 3 times negative 2x gives me negative 6. And then I subtract. Well, these are going to cancel because a negative becomes positive. So negative 2 plus 2, 0. And then negative x minus negative 6, so it's going to become a plus. So negative 1x plus 6x is 5x. And then I bring down my next one, so plus 1. And then x times 5 is what's going to give us 5x. So then x times 5 is 5x. 3 times 5 is 15. And then I subtract, so 5x minus 5x cancels. 1 minus 15 is negative 14. I have nothing else to bring down, so this negative 14 is my remainder. Alright, so the way I'm going to write this is my answer's up top, so 2x squared minus 2x plus 5. And then just like we did down here, we said our remainder over what we divided by. I've got a negative 14, so I'm going to subtract 14 over x plus 3. And then that's my final answer. So it's very similar to our regular long division, but we're doing it with letters and variables instead. Okay, another example, we have 8x to the 4th plus 6x squared minus 3x plus 1 divided by 2x squared minus x minus 2. So I'm dividing by a trinomial this time, but my steps are still the same. So 2x squared minus x minus 2 goes on the outside. And then on the inside, I start with my 8x to the 4th. But remember, I can't skip any variables or any exponents. So I go from 4 to 2. I skipped over the x cubed. So I'm just going to put a 0 x cubed in there. It's kind of like a placeholder. And then plus 6x squared minus 3x plus 1. So I've got 4, 3, 2, 1, and then no x. So I don't skip over any. And the same thing, I'm going to use this number out front to start. So 2x squared. I'm going to have to multiply that by 4 to get the 8. And then x squared times x squared will give me x to the 4th. So you have 4x squared. Okay, 2x squared times 4x squared is going to give me that 8x to the 4th. Negative x times 4x squared is negative 4x cubed. Negative 2 times 4x squared is negative 8x squared. And we subtract. First one's cancel. 0 minus negative 4 is 0 plus 4. So we get 4x cubed. This is why we need that placeholder, because I can't combine x squared and x cubed. I can only combine my x cubes. So we leave that placeholder in there. And then 6 minus negative 8 is 6 plus 8. So I have plus 14x squared. Bring down my next one. So we have minus 3x. 2x squared, I'm going to have to multiply by 2 to get to the 4. And then x squared times x gives me x cubed. So then 2x times 2x squared is 4x cubed. 2x times negative x is negative 2x squared. 2x times negative 2 is negative 4x. And then we subtract. So my 4x cubes cancel. 14 minus negative 2 is 14 plus 2, so we get 16x squared. And then negative 3 minus negative 4 becomes negative 3 plus 4, which is a positive 1. And then I bring down my plus 1, and we go again. So 2 to 16 means I'm going to have to multiply by a positive 8. And then x squared to x squared, I'm good, so I don't have to multiply by any x. So just 2x squared times 8. And that's going to give me 16x squared. Negative x times 8 is negative 8x. And negative 2 times 8 is negative 16. Then I subtract. The 16x squareds cancel. X minus negative 8 is x plus 8x, which is 9x. And then 1 minus negative 16 is 1 plus 16, which is 17. And I have nothing left to bring down, so that means that this is my remainder. So the way we write our answer is 4x squared plus 2x plus 8. And then I'm going to add in my remainder, so I'm going to add 9x plus 17 over whatever I divided by. So 2x squared minus x minus 2. And that's my final answer. Right, we always add the remainder, but in the example we just did, my remainder was negative, so that became a minus sign instead of an add sign. In our last example, I want to determine if the binomial is a factor of the polynomial. So remember, factors are numbers that go in to that whatever you're dividing. Right? So for example, my factors of 8, right? I could have 2 and 4. Because 2 times 4 is 8, 8 divided by 4 is 2, there's no remainder anywhere, it all goes in there nicely. So I'm looking to see if I have a remainder of 0. So we're just going to divide, like we did before with our long division, and then if I have a remainder, it's not a factor. If I don't have a remainder and everything cancels, it is a factor. So I'm going to set it up, x plus 1 goes on the outside, and then under my division bar I have x cubed, so my next one needs to be x squared, but we skipped it. So I'm going to put a 0x squared, and then a minus 7x minus 6. So I got 3, 2, 1, and no x. Right, so x to x cubed, we've got to multiply by x squared. That's going to give me x cubed, and then 1 times x squared is just x squared. So I subtract, my x cubes cancel, 0 minus 1 is negative 1, so we got negative x squared. Bring down the negative 7x. X to negative x squared, got to multiply by negative x. So that's going to give me negative x squared. 1 times negative x is negative 1x. My x squareds cancel. Negative 7 minus negative 1 is negative 7 plus 1. So we get negative 6x. Bring down the negative 6. And then x to negative 6 multiplies by negative 6. So I get negative 6x. 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. Subtract. The x's cancel, and negative 6 minus negative 6 is negative 6 plus 6, which is 0. So that means that when I divide these two, my answer is just x squared minus x minus 6, no remainder. So yes, x plus 1 is a factor of x cubed minus 7x minus 6. Alright, so you just have to divide like normal and see if you have a remainder. If I had any number here, any number at all besides 0, that means that I had a remainder.